So again, welcome back, bache. Uh, Welcome again to this particular session of this computer network course. I hope that I'll be clearly audible to you guys and without any noise, background noise, without anything. It should be clearly audible to you and I am clearly visible to you. Fine. So till now, any particular doubt to anyone, which we have discussed, two of the different routing protocols which we have discussed on the last lecture, which was distance vector routing. Then we have discussed the link state routing. We have discussed some of the problems in DVR, that how these are going to be solved by the link state routing. Was it clear, bache? To you guys, was that clear? What we have discussed? Did you guys read about that? Did you guys read about the topic? The content is already been there on your Blackboard account. Revise करा दीजिए. Okay, so I'll revise you. First you read the content from your Blackboard account. If you still got any doubt, so I'll explain you guys in the free time. Fine. But it's not like that, that we have to repeat every lecture in the next session. If you have doubt, first read it from your content. You can revisit to the recording videos which are there in your Blackboard account, I suppose. So it's a request to you guys that if you have any doubt or you want to read anything again, you can watch the recorded sessions which are available on your BB account. And if you still got any queries, I'll be happy to solve it. Fine, bache? Fine, Garvit? Will that be fine? Fine. So moving text type, that we have discussed two main categories for dynamic routing. Fine, two types. Now today we are going to read something about static routing as well as some of the applications which are, so some of the quiz is not active. I mean, it's of July month. Don't worry about it, bache. Don't worry. Uh, till till now, whatever the lectures which have been covered till now, they are all available to your BB account. You can watch it there. Don't focus on the others which are of month July. Leave it. Fine. Don't worry about that. Just focus on your lecture content and your lecture respective lecture homework, which are all available on your BB account, I suppose. Fine. Fine, Saurabh. Okay. So today we are going to see some details about the static routing, the different types of static routings which is available, and then we'll talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages, and then we'll discuss the broadcast routing and the hierarchical routing. Fine. So starting with the static routing, which have already you guys are familiar with now because we have implemented it on our labs as well as for group A and for group B as well. So the static routing in which the table is created, maintained and updated by a network administrator manually, we know that. Then a static route with adjusted, that we have already explained to you guys that when we do the troubleshooting command, that in a static routing the administrative distance is always going to be, what will be the administrative distance? Okay, let me just ask it by creating a poll for you guys. So what will be the administrative distance in case of static routing? So you just have to answer it. Fine. 120, 110, 1 or 0. Just answer it quickly. Fine, because you all have implemented it in your lab manuals. So you should be clear with what will be the administrative distance in case of static routing, which will be fixed in case of static routing. Okay, very good. Hurry up. Bache, answer it quickly. 10 more seconds to go, bache. Hurry up. After that, I'll not entertain any of the answer response from you guys. You will be marked 0 for that poll, and which you have to which you will be responsible for the consequences. Fine. So 5 more seconds to go. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. There are still 15 students left which I have not answered. Let me just give the name Abhishek Goyal, Aditya Joshi, Anmol Upadhyay. Fine, don't worry, we'll generate the report from that and we'll look into the matter that why it is now. See, you all have given the answers. Some at 14 had said 120, 12 have answered 110, 29 have said 1, 16 has 0. Is this the concept of static routing is not clear, or have I actually in lab manual have I actually implemented did I actually implement the troubleshooting command do show IP route, in which I make it visible to you guys that there is 1/0 is there, which means 1 is the administrative distance and 0 is the hop count in case of static routing. See, the answer is 1. The right answer for the administrative distance in case of static routing is bache 1. Fine. 120 is in the case of dynamic routing when we use the RIP protocol, routing information protocol. 110 is in case of the OSPF. Fine, open shortest path first, and 0 is not in any case. So the right answer is 1. The administrative distance in case is 1. A default route is simply a static route with 0 as the destination IP address. Yeah, bache, we will talk about it, Gaurav. This IP address, this is the type of default IP address, which is 0.0.0 in case when we want to route the packet when destination is not being available to a particular network. Fine. So the right answer in case of static routing, general normal standard static routing, it will be 1. Fine. So any particular static route in which we there is an adjusted administrative distance that that a network administrator has adjusted administrative distance because there might be some fault in my network, then that means if that for example if for from this particular uh, this particular source to destination there are many routes which are available, and in case of static route when some of the if any of the link fails on which we are already have defined the path, that means there are other routes which can be used as a backup. Fine. In case of static routing for which the administrative can be different for that. Fine. And among these three that we have to choose which if this link fails which route we have to be choose for sending the packet to the destination, that will be based upon that which among these has the lowest administrative distance. Fine. So in case when a static route we adjust the administrative distance, that is referred to a type of static routing which is known as floating static route. Fine. And it will be covered in detail in the next particular slides. Fine. So dynamic routed table is created, maintained and updated by the routing protocol on the router. Example of the routing protocols includes routing information protocol with the administrative distance 120. We have problem of counting to infinity, which can be solved with the help of spanning tree, or which can be solved with the help of concept which we have discussed is the root poisoning or the split horizon. We'll discuss that in the experiment number 4. Fine, we have the experiment to implement the routing protocol, to implement the RIP protocol, routing information protocol with the dynamic routing. Fine, which we have been done till now is static routing. Fine. So the problem in the RIP which we have counting to infinity, which can be solved with the help of root poisoning, or we refer to is at the split horizon. Fine, we'll discuss that over there. Fine, don't worry, just remember these names. So the third one is enhanced, second one is EIGRP, and the next one is OSPF. Fine, so these are some of the dynamic protocols which are currently used. EIGRP has administrative distance with the 90, and the administrative distance of the OSPF is 110. Fine, bache, easy. Shall we move forward now? Is it fine with you, the basics? Just raise your hand. For the confirmation, when I ask, just raise your hand. Fine, great. So advantages of using the static routing, that will have the minimum CPU or memory overhead, because we know that the administrative distance is quite low. So we'll have the minimum overhead of the routing. So there will be no bandwidth overhead, that updates are not shared between routers. In case of dynamic routing, the tables are being shared. Fine. In case of the when we talk about the static routing, no tables are being shared actually, which means that there is no bandwidth required or no overhead required, because as a network administrator I am making the route available for a particular packet to reach it to the destination, so it will be on my hand. Granular control on how traffic is routed, that there will be perfect control of the total control of the network administrator, that how the traffic is going to be routed. In case of static routing, if there is a route which is being available from source to destination, all the packets will follow the same route. All the packet will follow the same route. Whereas in case of dynamic routing, uh, the decision is need to be taken by the routing protocol, whichever it is being using, whichever we are being using, and there might be a chance that if some of the packets follow this route, other might can follow the different route depending upon that, because the decision is not in the hand of network administrator. Fine. So these were some advantages of static routing. Fine. There are some disadvantages also. For example, that infrastructure changes must be manually adjusted if some of the topology adjusted or my infrastructure does change. So I need to manually do all the changes in my network as being the role of network administrator. And there will be no dynamic fault tolerance if a link goes down. If in case of static routing, let's suppose there are three paths again. If this network, if this route has been made for the sending the packet to the destination, if somehow this link fails, then the Bache Arpit, do you have any doubt? Bache Arpit, do you have any doubt? Arpit Bache, you are raising your hand. Bache, do you have any doubt, query, any concern, anything you want to ask, Bache? Okay, then please just don't raise the hand. Fine. So I thought, okay, fine, no worries. So there will be no dynamic fault tolerance, that if some of the link goes down, then it is the responsibility, truly responsibility of the network administrator to make the other route available for sending the data. Fine, there is no automatic or dynamic fault tolerance is there. And it is very impractical on very large network. Already explained, if we have more number of inter-networking device, it will be not easy for me as being a network administrator feasibly to actually go to each device and manually configure the route, the forward path and as well as the backward path. Fine. So here is just an example which we have already explained in the lab manual also, lab experiment, that if there are two routers which are being directly connected to it, and there are four there are some networks ID which are connected. So can anyone tell me in the class whether these all four networks belong to the same class or different classes? That means they have different network. Fine. Does these two belong to same network, and does these two belong to same network? Yes or no? Okay, class is different. Yeah, same class, different. Yes, but a different network. Very right. Because if I talk about the class full IP address, it is /24. That means 3 octets need to be remain same. Where in case there are only 2 octets are same. Fine, same here. So in this case, if it need to this router need to send some information to this router, this is directly connected to it, so we do not need to define any other any dynamic routing protocol. We can just use the static route to define the path, that if any packet coming here to this router for 11.0.11.0 network ID, it will send it to here, and if it comes for the 10.1.2, it will define the static route for this. Simple. So router 1 has only 2 networks that I need to know about this particular. So I just need 2 static routes. Fine. So router 2 is connected to the other network and to the internet also. So it is my only way out of there. So I just need a default static way to reach to the other network that I don't know about. Fine. We'll talk about that. That here it is saying that for this particular router, there are only 2 networks which are connected to it. Fine. So I can simply need to create 2 static routes. One for this PC to go here and the reply to go back to here. For this router, actually we can see that there are 1, 2 and 3 one internet is also connected to it. But for the internet, we can say that this is just a cloud, but for that, whether the IP address has been defined or not, I can take it as a server. Yes or no? Can I take it as a server, that on server this is being service is being available to me, and the IP address is not being available? Fine. And I can see there is no IP address which is being available. So if there is no IP address being available, how can I route that packet? How can I get the access of the internet to the router too? For that, we have a type available, which is the one, there is a student which I have already, yeah, Gaurav Agarwal has told, which is default static IP. Fine. Which is default static IP. It is being used when the IP address is not being reachable to me. So we use this 0.0.0.0/0, which means it doesn't need to check it. It doesn't need to route that packet. To route the packet, it doesn't need to check for the IP address being available or not. It will not check it with any of the particular router. It it means that any particular packet come, it will send it to all. That's what for purpose default static IP is being used. Fine. We'll talk about it again later. Just for the reference that when my router does not know about the information about any of the network which is connected to it, with the destination IP is not clear. So we'll use the default static IP, that it doesn't need to check it for the network ID being available or not. It just use the default static IP with 0/0/0 0.0.0.0/0, so it doesn't need to check it. Fine. I hope it should be fine to you guys. Easy, bache? Okay, great. So there are some of the applications, fine, which are being used. So static routers are mostly used to connect a specific network or to provide a gateway of a stub network. Fine, stub network is the one who, or router or stub network is the one who just know the details about its neighbor network. It doesn't need to know about the other networks which are connected in that particular network. When a particular router or a network knows about the information only its directly connected neighbor's network, will refer to as a stub network. So static routes are also be used to reduce the number of routes advertised by summarizing several contiguous networks as one static route. For this, the category will explain the summary static route. And in case if some of the route fails, so we can create a backup route in case our primary link fails. Fine. So the following types of IPv4 and 6 static routes will be discussed. So can anyone tell me in the class that these IPv4 and IP6, are these routed protocols or are these routing protocols? It should be clear to you guys now. Are these routed protocols or these are routing protocols? Okay. Can anyone tell me in the class? Okay. Anyone else? Rest of the class, bache? Are these routed or routing protocols? Anyone else? Bache, hurry up. Abbas has answered it. Akshay has answered it. Rest of the students. Routing, Muskan. Okay. Routing, no, bache, it's routed. These are routed protocols. I've already explained to you guys. Yes, Siddhika, bache, very right. These are routed protocols, bache. Routed protocols are being used to define the route, which will be using the IP or IPsec. Fine, for which we have two categories, IPv4 and IPv6 packets. That to make the communication to send the packet, we need routing protocol. Fine, for which routing information protocol or OSPF or other protocols are being used. Fine, to define the route, we'll use that routed protocols, IPv4/6. So some of the categories are, the first is the standard static route, fine, which is basically used. Then is the default static, the summary static route, and then the floating static route. Fine. So we'll discuss it one by one. So starting with the first category, which is standard static route. I hope that this will be clearly visible to you guys, or you can zoom it from your end if it's not visible, bache. So the first category is standard static route. In this, both IPv4 and IPv6 support the configuration of static route. They are useful when connecting to a specific remote network. For example, in this figure, I can see that there are two routers which are being connected, R1 and R2. R2 can be configured with the static route to reach the stub network, which is 172.168.3.0. Fine. This can be referred to as stub network because it knows only detail about the neighbor network, and this is the stub router who knows about this network and this network. This is the example. So here we just need to do standard routing. For that, my command will be same, which we are using it. Find IP root the source IP, and then we need to give the destination IP. That is the command which we have used now. IP root, whatever the IP address of the source which need to be sent to the other network, and the destination to which we need to send. So in this here, we two routers which are being connected. So we do not need to use any dynamic routing protocol to with the R1 to reach to the 172.168.3.0. We can simply use the static route, and we need to define two static routes for that because there are two networks which are being connected with each other. So the example is highlighting a stub network, but in fact, a static route can be used to connect to any networks, which can be anything. Fine. I hope this will be clear to you guys. The standing static route. The next category which we have is the default static route. Fine. So a default static route is a route that matches all the packets. That means whatever the default static route which we are going to define the IP for that, which will be 0.0.0. that slash 0, which means subnet mask is 0. It just simply mean that the destination IP is not clear to me, as the example which we have discussed earlier in the at the starting, that the destination IP is not clear to me, but we need to route that packet so that I'll get the access of the internet. So for that for that route we need to use default IP, which means we doesn't need to match it with the all packets, matches all the packets. So a default route identifies the gateway IP address through which the packet need to be transferred and to which the router sends all the IP packets, that it doesn't have either learned or static route for it. That means in case if any of the router doesn't know about the static route, then we should match it to send the packet across the different network. So in that case, if it has not learned, we can use default static route. So the packet doesn't need to match it with any of the network. We just simply need to send it. Fine. So all the routers that identify a specific destination with the largest subnet mask take precedence over the default route. Now, in case that in case that when all the routers, again repeating that all the routers that which identify a specific destination. Now, in case the network for which I am defining that route will get a destination specific. Fine, we get the IP address of the destination, but we have configured the default static IP. In that case, whatever the destination IP which has the largest subnet mask, which can be any, which can, if it is classless, it can be any 1 2 3 4 5 6 slash 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 up to anything 255. But in case that any of the subnet mask which is greater than this default will take the precedence over the default route whenever in case when we have configured the default static route, and in that case my destination will become available to me, the specific destination will become available to me. That means either my router has learned about the static route, then in that case whichever the destination has the largest subnet mask will take precedence over the default route. Fine. So now the question is that one question comes to mind, that I get to know that default static route is being used. Now why it need to be used? Fine. When no the route in the routing table matches the packet destination IP address, in other words, when a more specific match does not exist, so common use it, we can use default static route. And or when a router has only one other route to which it is connected, this condition is referred to as stub router. We have to see the example. When a router has only one other, yes, one Yashvi Bache, you have any doubt? Yashvi Bache, do you have any doubt or anything concern? Yashvi bache, do you have any doubt? Bache, are you there, Yashvi? Bache, if you have doubt, please ask me, or otherwise, please lower your hand. You are raising your hand quite a few times, bache. If you have doubt, you can post it in the chat box. Fine. So I'll continue with the topic. So when a router has one other router to which it is connected, that condition is referred to as stub router, which we have seen in the previous slide. That this is my stub router. Fine. So any doubt to anyone till now, bache? Easy till now. Great. Good to go now for the next slide. Okay, great. Fine. This has already been explained to you guys, the same diagram. Now the third which have come to into our topic is the summary static route. Fine. Now see, we have understood a concept that there is a term which is being widely used, which is subnetting. Fine. Subnetting means to divide. I'll explain you guys now. Before the next plan, I'll first explain you guys that how we have to do subnetting. Fine. Subnetting means dividing a particular IP address into the different category, into the different IP address, because we know that a particular class, in a particular class we can have different networks, and in the different networks we can have different address spaces, different addresses. We have understood now. We have I've already explained to you guys that in class A we have the subnet mask is slash, the subnet mask is /8. That means there are total 7 networks which can be made, 2 raised to power, and for each there are different addresses being available, 2 raised to power 7. Fine. For class B, how many number of networks which can be made? It has /16 subnet mask, so 2 raised to power 14 networks, and in each network we have different addresses. For class E, we have slash 2 raised to power 21, because we have /24. So that's how total number of networks which we can make, and in each network we can have different addresses. Fine. For example, if I use 192.168.168.1.2, fine. Or if I say I have another IP address 162.1.3, fine. Another IP address 192.168.1.4, another IP address 1.68.1.5. So can you guys tell me that whether these all belongs to same network? Yes or no? If I say that they both have /24 subnet mask, yes, they all belong to same. So can I say that the network ID will be 192.168.1.0/24? Can I represent all these? Can I represent all these particular IP addresses with the help of this network ID? Yes, I can. Fine. So there is a concept similar to that which is being available in case of summary static route, that there is an opposite concept to this subnetting, which is referred to as supernetting. Fine. Which is referred to as supernetting. Subnetting means dividing an IP address into the different parts, into the different IP addresses. That's what we have done here. See, we have a network ID and we have done subnetting. I'll explain you guys, don't worry, that how we have to do subnetting. Here we have done subnetting, that dividing a particular network ID into the different addresses. That's how we do. Supernetting means same way. The other way of the subnetting, that combining the different IP address into a single IP address so that we can represent it with the help of summary. That's what it here. Here we can see that there are 4 different IP addresses: 172.168.20.0.0, 21, 22, 23, and the subnet mask is /16, which means it is a class full IP address. Fine. It is a class full IP address. Now here when we have used a single summary route to define all this, the subnet mask has been changed and it has changed to /14. I'll explain you guys that how it has been changed. Fine, don't worry about it. We'll do before implementing the next lab. Because it is actually going to take some time, and if I start it here, it would not be possible for me to complete in just 10 to 15 minutes which are left. Fine. So just understood the concept. Subnetting means dividing an IP address into different parts, and supernetting means combining the different IP address into a single so that it can be represented in that way. Fine. Here we can say the class, the subnet mask has been changed to /14, which means it becomes now classless, which concept is referred to as CIDR. That means classless inter-domain routing. Fine. We are talking about static routing. That's what it means. Classless inter-domain routing, CIDR. So to reduce the number of routing table entries, that's why this summary static routing is being used. That the multiple static routes, these are the multiple static routes which are being summarized into a single summary route with, so that I can represent all these IP addresses with the single summary route. The destination networks are contagious and it can be summarized into a single network. So the multiple static rule all use the same exit interface, because we know that if these are the different IP address belong to same class, the gateway for that will be same. Fine. Exit interface, or I can say the next hop to which it need to move. So that's how this summary static route is being used to summarize or to actually combine the different IP address into a single summary route. Easy, bache? Everyone, easy? Just raise your hand when I ask about it. Easy or fine? It's just a confirmation, fine, because I don't want actually the only talking from my side, so that you will not interact with me. So I need to make sure that you are getting the concept. Fine. So the next last type which we have is the floating static route. Already explained to you guys that in case when the network administrator need to adjust the administrative distance is the path, the actually distance from source to destination to reach the packet from source to destination in the shortest path. Fine. So that is the administrative distance. Fine. So that's why I said in most of the companies EAGRP is used. Fine. Enhanced Interior Gateway Protocol. It is a type of dynamic routing, comes into the category of IGP, which means that this has the administrative distance of 90, as compared to RIP it is quite low, as compared to OSPF it's quite low. So most of the in most of companies these are being used. Fine. So another type of static route is floating. Floating routes are being used that used to provide a backup path to a primary or the static dynamic route. Fine. In the event of a link failure, the floating route is only used when primary route link is not being available. So in that case, the floating static route can be used. And obviously, if my link fails, there is another route which is being made by the network administrator. It will have different administrative distance. Fine. And among all, whichever has the lowest administrative distance will be chosen for the routing purpose. Fine. To accomplish this, the static route, the following floating static route is configured with the higher administrative distance than the primary route. Recall that the administrative distance represents the trustworthiness of a route. If multiple paths to the destination exit, the router will always choose the path with the lowest administrative distance. The administrative distance has to be low. Fine. So these are the four categories. So here the example which we can see, there are two routers which we are connected with the HQ router. This is my this is my actually primary link made upon the private WAN with this IP address. And if I prefer to reach HQ using the private link and somehow this link fails, so network administrator can make a backup route for that. And if there are multiple routes available, it will choose the route with the lowest administrative distance. However, if that link ever fails, I can use a floating static route connected to the internet as a backup. That will be fine. Yes, Tanuj bache. Tanuj Chauhan, do you have any bache doubt, query? So clear till now? So these are the some of the types of static routes which are being using. Now already explained. If see, I have this kind of network, this amount of internetworking device. It will not just imagine this. That as being a network administrator, I need to go to each device one by one and manually configure the static route for the request packet and for the reply packet also. This will be very much complex for me, and it is not even feasible for me to made it. Fine. So what we do, we use the another routing protocol, which is dynamic routing protocol. Fine. And in case where the static routing, the network administrator was taking the decision to make the route to send the traffic. In case dynamic routing, the routing protocols use takes the decision to route a particular packet. Fine. And the decision is made in case of static routing, the decision is made earlier before actually packet comes, that this will be the route. But in case of dynamic routing, the route is based upon the decision to make the route is based upon the live traffic. Fine. It comes the what is the bandwidth, what is the amount of the throughput of that particular packets, all these criteria depend. Fine. I hope that now this should be clear to guys the actual difference between these. So moving to the next, some of the advantages of dynamic routing: simpler to configure on larger networks. Will dynamically choose a different route if the link goes down, and it has ability to load balance between multiple links. So this is the these are some of the advantages, that in case of dynamic routing, multiple paths are being available. So we can also use the concept of load balancing, that some of the packet will go to this network and some will go to this link, some will go to this link, so that my network will not become congested. Fine. Because if for a particular link, if the packets are going to this particular end, to this particular link, all the packets are going to be there might be a chance that there will be congestion in my network, because there might be a chance that my throughput of link might be very large and my mobility will be slow, or I can say my throughput will be less and my mobility will be large. In both the scenarios, my packets are going to be lost. Now what do you mean by throughput, or what do you mean by mobility? Means that amount of the packets are greater but my speed is low. Mobility is referred to the link speed of the link is low. In that case, my packets are going to be lost. There is every possible chance. In case my throughput is small, that my amount of packets are small, but my mobility is large, again there is a possibility that my congestion will be more. So we have to uh, take the all the criteria mentioned, all the criteria listed already being defined, that what will be the delay, jitter, bandwidth, maximum transmission unit. So these all matters in case of networking when we talk about. Fine. So disadvantages are that updates are shared between router tables. I've already explained to you guys the DVR, distance vector routing, in which I've explained to you guys that how they actually share the routing table, that only the distance lane is going to be shared with it. That means all the routers need to share the data with the other routers, with the neighbors actually, which is a very consuming bandwidth. So routing protocols put additional load on the router's memory, and the choice of the best router is in the hand of routing protocol, not the administrative, not in the hand of administrative. That's what the advantages or disadvantages of dynamic routing. Fine. So two categories already explained: distance vector, link state. Example of the distance vector protocol is RIP, IGRP. Fine. And the example of link state is OSPF and or ISIS. We'll explain that. We'll talk about in the earlier lectures. Fine. In the lab also, RIP and OSPF and EAGRP. So EAGRP exists both distance vector and link state characteristics, and it is referred to as the hybrid protocol, enhanced interior gateway routing protocol, the full form. So moving to the next, so this is again we can see that the dynamic routing, fine, it is being used when there is more networks, when there are more internetworking device. So we'll need to follow the dynamic routing so that the routing protocols will take the decision. So these are some of the key points which I think will be clear to guys, and I should suggest you guys to read about it. These are contains the same things which I have explained to you earlier. So you should remember these some of the key points regarding to the dynamic routing protocol and static routing protocol based upon the topology criteria, configuration complexity, scaling, security, resource usage, and predictability. Fine. Will that be fine? That if I give this task to you guys to read about it, will that be easy for you? Okay, great. For everyone, this presentation will be visible to you guys on your BB account. Fine. Okay. So in the distance vector routing, it is a dynamic routing. Fine. Alternate for this is state routing. Each router maintains a routing table, and the table gives best distance to each destination router, and the tables are updated by exchanging the information with the neighbors of the distance. So algorithm was used in inter-network connection using RIP, routing information protocol, and the major concern in the DVR is that we have problem of counting to infinity. That means there is a chances of making loop. Why? Because there might be some scenario in which if three routers are connected to it and they are sharing the tables with the neighbors, might possibility that at some time this link fails and it will not this router 2 will not update to this particular router, and it will assume that the to reach to the R3 the administrative distance or the cost or the propagation delay is still visible to me. So in that case it will become loop. It send the request, it send it to there that you are saying that R3 the distance the point to reach R3 is not visible, but it is updated in my table, so you can update in your table. It will again check it's not, it send request, so this become loops and loops and loops. This is the problem which we have in RIP protocol. Fine. That is the part of dynamic. Other cases the bandwidth is also very large. Why? Because they need to update the table, they need, and to update the table they need to share it with each other. That's where bandwidth is very large required. Fine. So the alternate to this is link state routing, which we can use. Fine. So entry table has two parts. I've already explained you that we have destination, we have distance, then is the next. You can you can watch that video of the distance vector routing again, and it uses the Bellman-Ford algorithm. And whereas in case of the link state routing, it uses the Kester algorithm. Fine. I hope this should be clear to guys. So I think this should be sufficient for today. Then next in the next time we'll talk about the different routing protocols which are left for the dynamic, which are hierarchical routing and the broadcast routing, and for what purpose they are being used and how they are going to be used. I'll explain you to in the next lecture. Fine. So till now, if any doubt to anyone in the class, you may ask me, bache. Now up to you guys. Fine. Any doubt to any of you, you may ask me. Any doubt to any bache? Is it all clear to you guys? Is it all clear to you guys, bache? Everyone in the class? Just answer yes or no. All clear. Okay, great. So, whatever we have been doing, are you all getting it now? That for purpose or what things? I'll just taking the things to step by step so that it will be easy for you to get along. And I hope and I assume and I also request you to guys, please practice everything whatever we are doing, because without the implementation, computer network is nothing. Fine. If we go in details, there are a lot of things in the computer network. But if we have to do anything with the learning process in computer network, the only ways we can implement it. That's why starting from the first lecture, I'll explain you to guys that how we can configure a switch, or how we can do telnetting concept, or how we can do the static routing. Fine. So please, it's a humble request to you guys, start practicing it. If you have any doubt, contact me in the working hours. I'll be happy to clear your doubts. Fine. So thank you so much, guys. Fine. Please give your feedback also, so that I'll be able to get to know that on which things I need to work on. So it's very important for to get the feedback, and please give your true feedback whatever you feel. Fine. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot. So we'll meet in the next lecture. Fine. Thank you.